Welcome to the Unconsumed podcast. I'm Lee Corning. I have the pleasure of being in one room with three of my favorite people. Adam Klein, obviously, working the controls as always. And then Chris Rider and Kyle Cummings. You know Chris from starting this podcast with me a long time ago, and you know Kyle Cummings from episode 4. You were a partner at Zwar. And one of the podcast sponsors, by the way, so thank you for that again.
You're welcome.
You forgot about that, right?
No. I mean, kind of.
Well, the invoices are still piling up, right?
No, yeah, I forgot. Don't pay that, right?
In quarters?
Yeah.
He's not quarter guy.
So it's funny because we talked about this on episode 15 where you were like, there was a check hanging on the wall, and you're like, so that's like your first dollar, and that was the Zwar checks. We've talked to this before.
Your wife finally took it and cashed it.
Yeah, she's not into seeing checks.
No, we're not ceremonial here. We're actually making money.
She's less nostalgic about this than I am, which
I like it.
I get that. So what I figured would make a lot of sense is if this crowd together, we've all worked at Tableau Software and been around the BI space for a long time. You're at Amazon, the world's, I'd say, the most data-rich company on the planet. Would you agree with that?
Top 3.
Yeah.
Google and Facebook, maybe otherwise.
There was a stat I saw the other day about, it says something to the effect of 50% of all online transactions are done on Amazon.
It's over 50%.
It's over now.
Yeah.
Okay. That's insane.
It's insane.
That's absolutely insane. So every time someone goes to buy something or they go to even search something, it's like Amazon has a pretty good idea of what you're wanting. And they've started doing this thing where they'll send you they call them flash deals. Mm-hmm. You're familiar with this, obviously. And they send me a message and it says, flash deal you might be interested in. And it's a 1 terabyte SSD drive. And I was like, $40 off, I'll take it.
Yeah, I am interested.
So do you guys,
you got me.
Do you guys do the buttons where you put it on your fridge,
The
or
dash
coffee
buttons?
maker, or whatever?
I don't do those. I'm familiar with them.
I feel like that's real dangerous.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good business for them, I'm sure, but I just...
And not just the transactions online, but now they're the 3rd largest search traffic, effectively. So,
really?
So only behind Google and
Can't be Bing, is it?
no, Bing's behind.
So Yahoo or
maybe it was Facebook. Maybe it's
Well, that would
people
make
starting
sense.
their search. Yeah, I think it's behind those 2 only.
so when you say the term search, it's like search in the broadest term.
Yeah, like if I'm going to go buy, some new shoes, do I go to Google to search for that? Do I go to Bing to search for that? Do I just start on Amazon?
Yeah.
So as opposed to waiting for an Amazon search result, I start my search there. So that's pretty incredible.
It is a wild thing. It's a complete change in user behavior or like consumer behavior because if I need something, I go to Amazon first to find it, and then maybe if I don't like the price, I'll go search elsewhere and say, okay, where is it more expensive or less expensive?
Yeah.
Search applies to everything, though. I mean, even one of the biggest or supposedly most. My wife works for Indeed, and they're all about search too, right? Because you're going to go search for jobs.
Did you say wife?
Yeah.
Fiance. Sorry.
Okay, I was going to say.
I think of her as my wife. We're
I didn't know you were even engaged.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thanks.
Wow.
Dude, that's new news.
You didn't know that?
Well, I knew you were planning on it, but you didn't put it on Facebook, so I didn't know.
Yeah, I don't have Facebook.
Yeah, I'm not on Facebook either.
You don't have Facebook?
No, I mean, there's still an account there.
The search isn't good enough, man.
The search isn't good enough. If it's not on Amazon, I don't need it.
Yeah, if I can't buy it, I don't need it. So the reason I'm thinking that about all of this data structure is because we've been all in data, and there seems to be kind of a revolution around how people interact with data. And so we obviously were very much involved with what the world calls BI 2.0, which is like Click, Tableau, Power BI, those types of things. And I thought it would be cool to kind of have the conversation with you guys around the history of this first, because it stands to reason that everything has a beginning, and there will be phases in which markets roll through, and we were very much involved in 2.0, and I think I see version 3.0 kind of on the horizon. So, Kyle, I figured you spent a lot of time around this. Can you describe, the origins of business
yeah.
intelligence?
So like this is
pre-Excel?
how this came up, because basically it's really, there's a lot of stuff going on in data in general. Like you hear about all this kind of stuff with predictive analytics and AI and all this kind of stuff, and there's basically like every company that, I mean, not every company, but there's a huge movement towards adding analytics and data stuff to almost anything. It's happening in like higher education. It's happening in healthcare. It's everywhere. So they're like embedding BI stuff, or they're building their own stuff and like providing analytics to customers and to vendors and other partners and all kinds of stuff. And it's just, to a lot of people, it's kind of a mess. It's like chaos. There's like all of this, everything's big news with all of this stuff happening, and companies going public. We've got like MongoDB going public. Alteryx gone public. Who else? There's like a whole bunch of things that are happening. Domo went public, which unfortunately it looks like. I read a thing the other day that said they're the least successful IPO of 2017.
Wow,
really?
Which is, I guess you can say like, no press is bad press, but like that seems like bad press. But I mean, whatever. So
that is the defining line. Now, anytime says the no press is bad press.
Think of Domo. Now you know. Yeah, so it's just like a lot going on, and it's hard for people to understand what are kind of the defining things that are actually happening in the industry.
But all of this started somewhere, is what I'm getting to.
Yeah, right.
So, like, obviously, computers. When I was a kid, they always used to say, like, a computer used to fill an entire room, and then you had punch cards and all these things. So I'm like, okay, so it went from that to me being 8, and then with a IBM 386. And typing in commands in DOS to find a computer game. So like that is obviously somewhere this started. And so I was reading about this the other day, and it's the mainframe is really the origin of all this, right? And so IBM used to sell these mainframes, and that was like, we have data for the first time. You go to the store, you swipe your credit card, and that thing that goes, remember those?
Yeah.
I think I might need to get one of those just to do the sound, because
it's a great sound.
I enjoyed that sound. Or you know what would be really cool is if you pitch this to your compatriots at Amazon to say, like, when you press the button that says, confirm my order, I want to hear that sound.
Yeah, rather than the cha-ching, the cash register sound, you want the credit card.
The cha-ching, the cha-ching is pejorative.
Yeah.
The ch-ch, that is official.
I'll work on it. I'll have something for you next week.
Thanks, appreciate it. Yeah, because these are the changes I want to see in the world.
Yeah, no, I'm taking notes. Right, we're taking notes.
You need a pad?
Totally, I'm taking notes, man. Yeah,
I'll text you. I'll remind you tomorrow.
Please.
So, anyways, this all stems from businesses needing to track ledgers.
Yeah, I mean, basically. Yeah, right. It started with just a way to be organized and a way to be more efficient, right? So people started, instead of just doing everything by hand and on paper, which takes forever, and you have like this whole back office system to do everything, and there's constant mistakes and all that kind of stuff.
Filing cabinets. You ever see that old Mad Men episode where like there's all those typists and they're printing stuff out and putting it in boxes? Like, can you imagine that being the way you need to find information?
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, God, it's insane how much the world has changed. The fact that we're freaking talking about like, predictive analytics and artificial intelligence, it's insane. And artificial intelligence is being applied to all kinds of stuff, and I don't think the world like really even knows what that means.
Very, very subtly too.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, basically the mainframe whole deal was put all this data into a database so that you have a more like sustainable and accurate system of record, and the idea was if you have that, you're going to know what's going on in your business, and then you can start to push reports out and data out to other people, right? So that they can get data about their business that they need.
Right.
And it was awesome. I mean, that was the first time that you could ever do that. Truthfully, that I think was, this is way before my time, right? This is kind of what I was taught.
This is what we read on Wikipedia as, people coming into
this. This is the history of data.
Yeah.
Right.
But you know what I really find that's wild is that all these mainframe core systems still exist. So these were started in the 50s and then got unpopular in the 80s, but
the concepts are still
there.
I mean, even a like enterprise data warehouse is similar in concept to the same thing, right? You're getting all this stuff where it's now becoming federated across multiple systems, and you've got cloud and all this stuff. But the idea is still the same: is collect data, have a single source of truth, and get it into the hands of people that need it so that they can make decisions and all that kind of stuff.
But that has mutated.
Exactly. So that's the thing, is like this industry, anything in data is ironically extremely cyclical. People have been trying to improve the same process of collecting data, making sure it's accurate, making sure that people understand the processes to like, you know, make sure it's all right and get it out to people, and that it's like timely and in people's hands in the right format for forever. It's been a constant cycle.
Yeah, so it went from like mainframe to I remember, you ever see Wall Street and Charlie Sheen's on there and he's like punching in stock quotes and it comes back in all green and there's only like five tickers on there. He's like, oh, this is fantastic.
Look at this data at my fingertips.
Look at all this data.
5 pieces of data.
Yeah, and so I'm like, at some point it went from like purely mainframe to this, and then Excel blows onto the scene and everyone's like, I gotta have Excel. This is how work is done. And that's from like 90... When did you first see Excel?
I don't know.
Yeah, can you find when Excel was released?
Yeah, I was going to say like 96, 7 is probably when I saw it.
I mean, I'm thinking like...
in college?
This was the beginning of
I mean, that's when I was in college.
This is what they call,
I'm
right
older
now,
than you.
this is still an issue. This is the beginning of the governance problem, is the birth of Excel, because people they get reports, and then they decide that they're going to finagle with that data the way that they want to get whatever answers they want on their own, and it's always on their own computer.
85.
85? Nice.
Yeah. 1985?
Yeah,
1985.
No, 1885.
Oh,
Become full, so, yeah, until 87.
Yeah, so I mean, basically that was kind of the next step. So like, you get reports out to people. It started just paper reports. They just print PDFs, and it started to be like files that they can send, and then it's like Excel files, and people started to do their own stuff in it. Created a big problem for the whole mainframe system, because the whole idea was single source of truth. And then when you start to send all this data out, and then people start to come up with their own analysis and decisions, and those decisions conflict, it kind of like corrodes the whole value of the whole thing. Right?
It eats itself. And so like you walk into a meeting, like figure we were all running statistics on our fantasy football leagues. Do you play fantasy football? Do you?
Nope.
This is a horrible example then. So say we're running, I'm 0-6 collectively in 2 leagues right now, which is the worst I've ever done.
You're the only person I've ever met that's in fantasy football that isn't winning their league. Everyone always says, "Oh yeah, I've won $18,000 in the last 2 years." All I hear about is people winning. It's like people's kids being smart. Where are the dumb kids?
Every kid is smart, yeah.
Oh, he's really smart. He doesn't do that great in school.
Dumb kids are at my house.
Okay. All right, so there are a couple dumb kids and one fantasy football loser. Okay, well, we've accounted for them.
Historically, I've done okay. I was looking at my all-time record, because Yahoo's publishing this on your front page for the first time ever, and it's like, you are almost 500, which means like I've been playing fantasy football for 20 years, and it's a coin flip.
You need data, bro.
Well, at any rate, so like back to my illustration would be like if all three of us got a giant Excel sheet full of numbers, and we came into a meeting after spending 3 hours of looking at it independently, we'd be like, okay, so how did you come up with cost of goods sold? And then we've all got conflicting numbers, and like this is what the mutation of this like federated. Is that even the term? Like federated consumption of data. So it moves from the mainframe, where it's single source of truth. Only there's like 2 people in the company that can really handle that, and then to anyone has control of everything, and you have no consistency.
Yeah, I mean, the idea was the problem. This is why like things like Cognos came to be, and business objects was like, well, the reason that this is happening.
Cognos is the IBM play, and business object is the SAP play.
Right.
Right.
And they like owned the world of business intelligence for a while.
Yeah.
And the idea was, before this, when you had a mainframe, there has to be somebody that like wrote code to get the data out, and they sent that. And it was all code that managed the whole process. And they're like, well, if we do that, and they're just like sent an Excel sheet, they're going to do their own analysis. But if they can use this other tool with the graphical user interface, then they're just going to use business objects, right? Because they can get their own reports and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
that was kind of true. It made it easier, and it made it easier to like get reports out, and more people can use the graphical user interface, but it was just immature. It was great for its time, but it was still really hard for people to use. So you still had to be like an IT pro to do it.
And this is like what people call BI 1.0, right?
Yeah, the first wave of analytics, or first wave of business intelligence.
1.0. I think we need to come up with new names for like releases.
Yeah.
1.0 is lame because then it's 2.0, 3.0.
So they're doing this thing now, like Tableau is doing this thing where they don't do it by the number of version, they do it in the year. So it's like 2018.1. So Salesforce is doing the same thing. It's becoming like an industry standard to like use the year as the...
It makes way more sense because like I had a customer call me the other day and say, what version are we on? And I'm like, I don't know.
Now you can say 2018 something.
Yeah.
Still don't really know. But...
That would be way better. So problem solved. Thank you, Salesforce, for doing that.
You know, Jordan tried to do that with his shoe line after the 25. I think it was after the 25, maybe even after the 23. He tried to, instead of naming it the Air Jordan 23, they were like Air Jordan 2007.
Okay.
And they did that for like 2 or 3 years, and they're like, nobody likes that.
There's
now they're back to the numbers. Sorry, it's completely undata related. But I'm staring at Michael Jordan here, and you're, you know...
He's got the wrong shoes on, by the way.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah.
So I think it's funny when people are naming things and they are inconsistent, right? So I was watching a movie reviewer I like, and he was talking about the Rambo series. And they're like, Rambo is called... It's not called Rambo. It's called First Blood. And then the next one's Rambo 2, and it's like, are they the same?
Right.
And then finally they have a Rambo 3, and then there's like a bunch of like semi...
And the one that came out a few years ago was just called Rambo.
Yeah.
I think
it's called John Rambo.
John Rambo.
Yeah, and so it's like, okay, you guys got to have some consistency here.
And he's working on another one.
Is he?
Yeah. Same with Halloween. So Halloween had Halloween. They had Halloween 2, Halloween 3, Halloween 4, and then they had Halloween H2O. Like,
you can't do that.
You can't do that. And then they had another one called Halloween.
Right. So
like then what's the next one? Right. Halloween 2.2?
And the if I'm not like a hardcore fan of any series, it's impossible for me to know.
Yeah. Where do I start? Where did I leave off?
Yeah. So like if I want to get into this thing that everyone's excited about, if I'm wanting to be a Rambo fan all of a sudden, it's like, which one's which?
Wait, I saw Halloween 5 and now there's Halloween 20.
And
where's
H2O? Where's the water coming from?
Right.
Welcome to Shenanigans Podcast.
Right? Riveting.
Yeah.
It's right. This is solved now.
We can move on to other problems.
We solved that. So we're talking about like the federation of the data comes out, and then we've got this BI. I wish there was a year because now we haven't solved that problem again. BI 1.0, and they come out and they're like, all right, so we have kind of the keepers of data.
Right. So yeah, it basically like it solved the problem of taking so much time to get all the data and the reports out to different people, but you know, because if you have a user interface and you don't have to write code, then it's easier for the people that manage the data to do it because they can just click stuff instead of typing code and all that kind of stuff, right? The problem is that it just was still too complicated for any normal business person to even use that graphical user interface. So you ended up relying on, ironically, mostly the same people to get that stuff out.
Right.
So that was happening at the same time that demand for data in all of the rest of the business was increasing. There's more data, there's more like need for people to have reports, and it just ended up not solving any problem. The bottleneck is still there where there's only a few people.
You just shifted it up.
Yeah, it just shifted, right? So then you've got the second wave, which is basically people. Part of the problem, it's important to like understand part of the problem with like business objects in Cognos wasn't just like getting the reports out, but it was the fact that people weren't getting the like insight from the data that they needed just by being sent a report. They would have a change request, or they would need somebody to help them understand what that report means, because they would just look at the numbers, and that's why visualization became a thing at all. Right. That's why we got into Tableau. It was all about visualization.
Yeah, I mean, it stands to reason that if you're looking at, they call them pixel perfect reports, which is just like a gigantic list of numbers, and then you have to read it. It's like, okay, what does this mean? Right. Whereas if you could have a picture represent everything, you could easily find outliers or things you're looking for. So that was huge. and that changed the game. And those tools that are out there that do that are ClickSense, Tableau, Microsoft tacked on a piece to Excel called Power BI. And there's also like enterprise levels of Power BI, which I think are actually pretty good.
Well, they're the leader. I mean, according to Gartner, I don't know if anybody reads that. It's a little dense, but I mean, like, Tableau and Power BI and Click are like the kings of that market right now.
Right. So this kind of opens up the topic for what's next. And so there's nothing we talk about more on this podcast than AI and how scared of it I am. Did you see Elon Musk on Rogan the other day?
Mm-mm. Was this when he was smoking a joint?
Yes.
Okay.
And he scares me with AI more than anyone when they talk about it, because I'm just like, he rolls out this example of, if the sum of all intelligence in the world is 90% human intelligence right now, and AI occupies about 10% of that, and then AI will grow significantly over time and take over a larger scope of that 100%, and then at some point AI will be more intelligent, or will account for more of the intelligence in the world, and very, very quickly, because it's like, how quickly can a machine learn as opposed to you? Mm-hmm. Like, it takes me a long time to read a book. Like, I can dial up my Audible to 2x and I feel like I'm flying, but if you put all that information in a computer, it's like, got it. And like, how quickly would that grow?
I think...
And then all of a sudden you're at a spot where human intelligence accounts for almost none of the intelligence in the world. And to me, I'm not sure how you control that.
I welcome it. I'm getting irritated with all this thinking. You know, I'm tired of trying to figure stuff out on my own. You know, just do it for me.
That's what it's for, right? Yeah, I think that's the thing, is I think there's a lot, just like with anything in the world, there's a lot of fear about what people don't understand. And I'm not saying
fear
that
of the unknown.
It's not like I'm saying there's no risk to it. We don't know the future. We don't know what's going to happen. But what I do know is that computers are machines that do what we tell them to do. And therein lies our power, but also our risk. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard this like famous story. It's by, what's that guy that... There's a movie about it, and he was like during World War II. He's a British guy, and he cracked the code.
Oh yeah, Imitation Game.
Yeah, Imitation Game.
Okay.
Right? Alan Turing, right? He get like made the Turing
machine.
test of like how to know if something's a machine versus a human.
Right.
So he writes this book, and in it he talks about this story where there's like, it's a fictional thing where there's like a machine that's designed to do a very specific thing. So I heard an example that was like, there's a machine that is designed to write postcards. Okay, so like AI has gotten way better, and it's literally just an arm on a machine that just writes postcards, and you can type into it like what you want to write, and it will say, "Oh, happy birthday," whatever. But then it learns what you're going to type, and its whole purpose is to write better cards to people all the time, and get them out to more people or whatever. And so there's this like fictional story of like what happens when this AI is created, and it's like potentially even illegal to like hook it up to the internet because people are aware of the risk. They're aware, like, if you put this on the internet and you let it learn from anything, it's going to know everything, and it's going to whatever.
It's going to eat you.
Right. But capital, we're in America, right? So capitalism is king, and people are like, all right, well, no, we're not supposed to do that, but man, if we do this thing's going to be so smart, and they hook it up, and they leave it on overnight, and the next morning there's frickin' postcards all over the place because it's learned how to take over the postal system, and it's like ordered new cards and whatever, and there's just like the whole plant covered with postcards.
New cards.
Yeah, so it's like... That's like one of those ridiculous examples of how it can get out of hand, but it's also an illustration of how the technology is going to only do what it's designed to do.
Well, and I get that, and that's what scares me the most about it, is because you'll have people with malicious intent.
Yeah, you'll have the bad actors
that want to win, and they will be so incredibly powerful given the scope of what AI can do. And so it's going to be some kind of game where there's a race to who does it best first, and then whoever wins that race is going to have the trump card forever. And I don't mean to say the word Trump and everyone fires up about that. It's the card that wins the hand. How about that?
Better.
Can you fire up Olive Garden AI ad? So there's this thing on Twitter. It was like AI. There was some AI program that was creating advertisements for Olive Garden.
Really?
And it is so funny.
Are they just hitting the like key points that have come up in Olive Garden ads?
It's watching all Olive Garden ads, and they're like this is what the ad should be.
Yeah, this is
breadsticks.
Yeah,
That's essentially what it
it's a
is.
lot of breadsticks.
Did you find it?
There's one, which, I mean...
I think it's the Olive Garden
right.
AI bot on the right.
Here?
Is that a video? I don't want the video.
Well, yeah, do this one on the left, right?
It's Keaton Patty, the Twitter on the number one thing. Hit that. So this guy made his bot watch 1,000 hours of Olive Garden ads.
Oh, I did see this. Yeah, I thought it was a video. Sorry.
And so go up. It says Olive Garden restaurant. Group of friends laughs at a dinner table. Waitress delivers what could be considered food. Waitress, pasta nachos for you.
Pasta nachos.
Yeah, so I won't read all this, but it's
lasagna wings with extra Italy. Wasn't there one like that Facebook did too, where they made like a bot that was like gonna like post comments and chat with people, and then it got like really racist and started saying like really violent things? Yeah.
So Microsoft had
it was Microsoft.
Microsoft created a bot, and they're like, so we let it just go out on the internet, and we gave it the wherewithal of what they considered to be like a 15 to 17-year-old person, and we're like, just go out and learn.
Yeah.
And it's like racist, sexist. It had some.
Welcome to the internet, dude.
Yeah, the internet's greasy, and it had like it developed like some. Well, I won't be descriptive about it, but it developed like some uncouth tendencies, and it's like this is what is out there for the internet to learn, and so all of this circles back into AI will, without a question, dominate in the BI space as well, and so this is where 3.0 comes in.
I mean, that's up for debate, right? So that's kind of what we're talking about is what are the defining characteristics from the phase 1 to phase 2 to phase 3, and the defining characteristic between phase 1, or wave 1 and wave 2 was easier access.
Right.
People can access and analyze the data easier. And so like Tableau and Click were really big about that because they made a drag and drop thing. It wasn't just a wizard menu with all this complicated stuff, and it wasn't code, which it was before.
Right.
Now you can like connect to the data or whatever, right? And you can just drag and drop stuff. And that was way, way easier for most people. So, yeah.
Well, I think it's really wild about it is that it's reverting to the original purpose every time. So you have mainframe, ledger resolution, and there's a single source of truth, and this is it. And then the next phase comes along because there's so much more data, and then we have to. We'll use Excel and the Cognos play here, which is like, okay, now everyone has access again, but it creates the same problem we had in the first place, where there's too much data and people aren't getting it fast enough. Enter
a new technology to solve it,
2.0.
and that's really the question: is AI going to be the thing that does that? And the thing that kind of makes me think that it probably is because it's already being used so much in other industries to make technology accessible. Like it's on your phone, it's in Amazon. Like that's the thing that surfaces the products.
Right.
When you search something, right? The search is what really makes it accessible, but what makes the search results usable for a normal person is the AI that like surfaces those things. And the fact that it's happening in consumer packaged goods, it's happening in retail, it's happening in cars. You got freaking self-driving cars, so now you don't even have to have freaking arms to drive a car because it's going to drive itself for you.
I can't wait for that, by the way. I hate driving.
It's already happening. I mean,
they won't. You can't have one. You can't have. So there's regulations coming out around it where you have to have your hands on the wheel. And I don't want that.
You don't want to have your hands on the wheel?
I want to sit in the back seat.
Yeah. Get a Tesla and you just get in the trunk.
Take a nap.
It's going to drive you there.
Yeah.
I want a luxury trunk with a pillow.
I mean,
I want to remove the illegality of drinking while driving.
Well, not
that's the whole reason.
This is the
right?
beauty.
Come on,
I don't
let's
want to
just be
kick
real.
my feet up, have a pop. You know what I mean?
And then get where you're going, and then be rowdy when you get there.
Exactly. And be rowdy on the way home. Think about the safety.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's a really practical application of AI because what traffic deaths is like insanely dangerous when compared to all other dangerous things in the world. It's like you could almost take that to zero.
Right.
And then use the drunk driving numbers.
And you know what? Like we had on one podcast, we talked about transitive technologies, like the pager before the cell phone. And when pagers came out, everybody was like, "Holy crap, this is amazing! People can get in touch with me anywhere."
Right.
Uber,
If you're on a
Lyft,
payphone.
all this ride share is the transitive technology that self-driving cars will make obsolete. Uber, Lyft, all this stuff came about, and we're like,
Don't you think they're just going to fire all those drivers, though? Like,
this is amazing.
They're going to be around.
You won't need it. You'll have your own car that can
Right.
self-drive. And you can punch in and tell it where to go, and it's going to keep you...
I'm extremely interested in how that's all going to play out, because there's people talking about how you'll have a car, it will self-drive, and then you can rent it out to other people that want to borrow it, and then it'll come pick you up when you want it.
Oh, interesting.
Car
so the car will be
ownership
like, it'll be what if
aspect.
there's like going to be an Airbnb for cars? You can like
And there already is Car to Go and a few of those others.
There's a new one that's pretty cool where you can borrow people's cars, and they have like the guy picks you up from the airport in his car and just like says see you later, and it's like super inexpensive.
Where does that guy go?
What's the name of that app? The new.
He's like, hey, here's my car. I guess I'll
and
walk home.
Yeah. I was like, does he have to get an Uber home?
It's an odd concept.
just sits at the airport all day.
He's like, man, I should have rethought this.
This isn't worth the money.
It was easy to sign up, though.
Turo. Yeah. So I don't know.
Great website.
Yeah, check that out. You want to throw that on the screen so people can see it. But anyways, there will be a... this is it. You can rent like a...
It's Airbnb for cars, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can get a RAV4 for $11
So this
a day.
this is really a thing.
And this is a guy's RAV4.
Yes.
Like, this is a guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so essentially what happens is, and I've never used it myself, but I've had friends that use it. And what happens is you rent the guy's car when he doesn't need it. Maybe he walks to work and you can go grab his car, and then he wants it on the weekend, so you put it back where you got it for $11 a day.
It's interesting.
This has popped up in the last 6 months. It's real new. So check that out. But yeah, the component of having a car and then it just like going to do something else, and then you're like on your phone, you're like, car, come to me, take me somewhere.
Yeah, like
that's
Kit.
pretty cool.
Like Knight Rider.
Exactly.
Kit.
And does Kit self-drive?
Before your time.
before
Yeah,
my
Kit
time.
self-drive. Hell yeah.
And so Kit, like, he would just take the hands off the wheel and
Yeah. He'd
That's
come
what I
around the
want.
corner, you'd see the steering wheel moving while he's not in there.
yeah, and he had those red lights.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah. So the point of all of this was, and we're roundabout on this, is the third wave of BI will essentially be a reversion back to the mean, where there is a data warehouse that has all the correct numbers that everyone can use, and then they will it'll be aligned. And describe how AI.
Well, I mean, the
would
thing is,
play
it's
into
always
it.
been that way, right? So
Right, it's a reversion
So just
back
like think
to the
about
original
the wave one. You
Mm-hmm.
get all of this stuff in a mainframe, then you send it out in Excel, and you have a governance problem. It's the same thing that actually has been happening with Tableau and ClickView, is that you get all of the data in one place, and then you make an app, or you get this like desktop software for them.
Right.
But if everybody's making their own stuff on everybody's desktop software, you actually have the same problem.
all over again.
Plus, it
Yeah.
turns out that even though that software is really easy to use, you still have to learn it.
It's still
It's
kinda
still
tough.
not that easy,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So yeah, this is like one of the main things I see in Wave 2 that I think is going to usher in Wave 3 is like we've all worked at Tableau. I've spent a lot of time using Tableau Desktop, and like you're gold certified. That's Tableau's like big top tier thing. I've had my hands on the software for 4 years, and I'm pretty limited. I play checkers.
Most people are, man.
in Tableau.
Yeah, most people are.
And it's not like you can just give it to anyone and it's going to go great.
Yeah, dude, I started a freaking company that all we did was build reports and dashboards for people, and they paid us thousands of dollars to do that because they didn't want to have to figure out how to do it.
Zwar.com.
Zwar.com. Yeah, I mean, so that's the thing, is it's not like it's bad, just like Cognos and all that stuff wasn't
Yeah.
bad. It was like a major step forward. But if you've got AI that is freaking driving cars to people, and it's telling you exactly what you want to buy, and it's right, you know what I mean?
Lee
Like,
wants a solid state drive. He will pay this price.
Yeah.
Why don't we
guaranteed.
have that?
How do they know
Why
that?
don't we have that for BI? You know what I mean? Like
Right.
that is the real question, and that's why I think that is going to be the defining thing in the third wave. It's not going to be the predictive analytics stuff and all this other advanced questions. It's the fact that people have normal everyday questions that they want to answer, but they
Right.
still have to rely on their Tableau or their ClickView Pro to do it.
Right.
And that creates the same bottleneck as the guys that were running Cognos, the same as the guys that were writing code. It's the same thing.
So the answer to cracking the bottle open is, I mean, there's two ways to look at it. Is if you want to not have, if you want to widen the end of the fire hose, you could roll something like that out. But then how do you see us creating this problem again in AI? Is it possible, or is that it?
Dude,
is wave 3 the last wave, or is
look
it
at
going to
look
be a
at
4?
like a lot of search technology is AI. That's what Indeed does. That's what Google does. That's what Amazon does.
Cataloging,
and truthfully,
gigantic data sets.
There's
Yep.
always going to be disruption, right? That is the lesson in this whole thing, is that it's cyclical. It's moving forward,
Right.
but it's moving forward in this weird loop-de-loop kind of style with the same thing of making the technology and the data more accessible to normal people. So we don't know. But I don't really see what can be easier than searching for what you want. You don't have to teach anybody how to do that. Everybody knows how to search.
Right, and it removes that whole barrier of here's a cutting edge visualization tool. Good luck learning how to do it. Whereas if you say you can just search it like you would on Amazon, or oh, by the way, in the case of Google, I think this was fascinating when I learned it, is that every search that you do on Google, someone else has done millions of times. And so it's just cataloging and rerunning the same query and bringing back the same
Dude,
results.
it's better than that. So like there's this company called, all these three companies are based in the Bay. There's a company called Tellius, there's a company called Answer Rocket, and there's a company called ThoughtSpot. They're all doing this in a different way. It's not just surfacing the views and the visualizations that you want. When you search something, it creates the visualization for you right then, brand new. You don't have to drag drop anything. You don't have to choose the visualization style. That's the thing that's happening right now, and that's why like Tableau and Qlik and Microsoft are all up in the leaders quadrant of the magic quadrant from Gartner.
Right.
Is the space is becoming defined. Visualization is becoming a commodity. People understand how that works now. They like knowing what kind of chart we should use for what data is commonplace. You know, the real challenge is who can actually make that stuff. Right? It comes back to the same thing. So that's what some of these companies are doing, and I honestly think that ThoughtSpot is one of the coolest things. They just like raised a whole bunch of money. They're like significantly bigger than those other two. It's freaking cool, man.
Well, they just got the guy from Nutanix, Sudesh.
I don't know. There's like 5 guys that run it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I first came into contact with ThoughtSpot was it was in Forbes top 60 most innovative companies, and I was emailing all of them to be on the podcast. And I came to ThoughtSpot, and this is how I originally ran into them.
That's how he found me.
Yeah,
He searched you.
It's a Time magazine.
Best guys there is. Chris Rider, number 17.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, so I mean, I've seen this for a while. I'm thinking like, yeah, what if Google and Amazon like search was the new BI, and this is essentially what they're doing. And in those 3 companies, and ThoughtSpot in particular, because it's the one I'm most familiar with, is if you had a question at work today, what's going on in the Tableau BI world is I've got to go to a giant repository, and hopefully someone has made something like that. I'm going to click through a giant data graveyard, and then I'll hopefully find it. And if I don't, I've got to go ask the keeper, the data rock star.
See, part of the problem is it's even harder than that, because if you a lot of people that use Tableau, even if they kind of know the interface, they still have to know what data sources they should be using, right? They can't like necessarily search across all data sources for a single field or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, so searching for something and AI surfacing the right results across any data source or any field in the data source, or even value in any table in any data source, is really, really powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, and that will change everything. So like, instead of me, having to call someone who's frustrated with me because I've called them 15 times and I want something slightly different, I can, for the first time ever, kind of surface that myself with the search.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. See, here's the crazy thing though, is ClickView and Tableau and everybody knows that this is going to happen. Right? That's why Tableau bought a company that does natural language processing. They're trying to integrate that.
Yeah, who is that, by the way? You know?
It's ClearGraph.
ClearGraph?
I think they bought it like April 2017.
Okay.
There's nothing really in Tableau's release notes for the new upcoming product about that, about how it's going to work. And it seems to be mostly focused on natural language processing, which for people that don't know what that is, it's like typing things in natural language and you get results.
Yeah.
And it focuses a little bit less on the artificial intelligence, which is, I think, where the real value is.
Right.
But they're all related. You know what I mean? So it's not like Tableau doesn't know that this is happening.
Right.
The question is, when this disruption really starts to take effect in this market, like it has in transportation and like it has in retail, who's going to be in the lead? Because it's going to be such a huge competitive advantage. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's funny. So I was thinking about this, and I think if a current leader in a market starts trying to be in the next wave, it can cannibalize their core business, right? So like think of Cognos, and if they started trying to sell data visualization tools, it's going to erode that core install. And so I think if you're a company like I don't want to make it too specific, but I think if you're...
SQL Systems and Salesforce is the classic example. Right? On-prem, CRM, everybody moves to cloud. SQL doesn't want to move to cloud because all their customers want to stay on-prem, and they're the big customers that are paying a lot of money.
Yep.
But there's a cycle, a maturity cycle to every business. And so as these other younger companies that adopted the cloud stuff come along, SQL vanishes within like only a few years, and Salesforce now owns the world. So that
own the
is
CRM world, that's for sure.
Yeah, so that's like the classic story, man. That's the innovator's dilemma, right?
Yeah, well, it's a dilemma.
Yeah, so that's the thing is like, a lot of companies get around that. Like Google's done a super good job of always innovating. They've literally restructured the whole thing to make it work. So companies do it, but it's hard, and that's the question is, I feel like there's about to become a change because of the continued demand from people in business to be more data driven. They have more questions that they need answers to right now, and their BI pros that are all using Tableau or ClickView or Power BI or whatever are getting more and more requests to do stuff. The same backlog is there.
Right.
This could solve that, and see what happens, I guess.
Yeah, this will be something to watch for the next, I'd say, 4 or 5 years at least.
Yeah, there's going to be a house cleaning on that whole Gartner Magic Quadrant. Like this whole big separation. Like
it'll be. I remember in 15. You remember that Gartner report that came out, and then it just shuffled everyone kind of back into the middle. It's like, let's fight it out for a few years, and that has resolved itself in crowning 3 clear victors in that. And so I think there will be a new shuffle.
Hope so. That's what makes it fun, at least.
Yeah, well, we got to have some fun, otherwise this whole work thing is going to get lame. So, that's kind of the story of BI. I mean, that's pretty cut and dry on the history and where we are and what we think the future is.
Yeah, and it's happening now. I mean, that's what's cool about it is it's not hypothetical. It's happening right now. So, it's awesome.
Yeah, beautiful. Thanks for helping us walk through that. We got to get to what's grinding our gears, because this is something Chris and I do on every podcast we do together. It's like, what's annoying Lee and Chris? And do you have anything that's annoying you, or you have time to think of one? Well,
the only thing that's annoying me is Chris not saying what's grinding his gears right now.
Oh, that's maybe my favorite gear grinder ever. Do you have a couple queued up?
I have some in my notes. I'll think of them.
Okay, so the one, and I don't know if you can pull up like a... Okay, these advertisements for these slim wallets?
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about?
Which ones?
I don't know.
Anything specific?
I don't know what... I don't even know the name of any of them, but they're all over my... they're in my windows.
Yeah, and they're the ones where, like, if you push a card, they all fan out.
No, this is...
Or the ones
this
that are
is like, oh, well, look at what a wallet looks like with all these receipts and stuff. And now in this slim wallet, it's like this. I'm like, I'm not an idiot. If I have 18 credit cards, they're this tall. And you can't make them
They're not
thinner.
getting smaller. Yeah.
So they keep showing this like George Costanza wallet. Remember he takes out his wallet.
He's got
from
back
that
pain.
Yeah, he's got back pain. He's got all this stuff overflowing. They show one next to it. It's like that thin. Oh, it's the same stuff. Like they think I'm an idiot.
Well, why? How do they think that'll work at all?
I don't know.
Does any?
Yeah, it's really
Like there's not that much leather in a wallet. Come on, like a bifold wallet doesn't have like 4 inches of leather.
Dude, my wallet doesn't even fold. Like I have one that you just like slide the cards into, and I almost never carry cash.
Yeah, so here's what I carry. I carry this deal, right? So it's just
like a clip.
Yeah. And so
Make sure you don't expose any card numbers.
Oh, okay. Wow. What kind of
We
people
have a
you
very,
have watching your
fan base here?
The internet.
Yeah, good.
Remember the
Yeah,
AI
right,
bot?
we
that got
talked about
deployed?
this,
Yeah.
right.
This is though.
Before you know it, AI will be watching all these YouTube videos. and,
Stealing
like,
credit cards.
whatever it
I was
takes.
trying to find the name of this one. At any rate, this is perfect. Yeah, I don't carry.
Yeah,
cash.
that is pretty nice.
I never really got into the Apple Pay thing. Do you guys ever do that? Or like,
Yeah.
you touch
Yeah, I do the
phones
Samsung Pay
Really?
because I'm a Samsung guy. So I have a Samsung watch too. It never worked that great on the watch, which I thought would be great. Just walk up and because on this, you still gotta like thumbprint it, and the thumbprint works half the time, and then you gotta press it, and you gotta wait for it to beep. It's still fast to do a credit card.
Yeah. And, the thing about the phone and having everything on one place, because I do the Apple Pay, and there have been a couple times where, I don't like to have the password screen. I just want to open it up and be good to go. But if you have Apple Pay, they require it. Mm-hmm. So I put it on there because I lose things so often. Like if I lose my wallet, I don't want to be without money. We talked about this on one podcast. The world will respect you very, very little if you have no payment method.
You don't have any money.
Like you try to be somewhere where that's not your house with no money, and see how much respect you get.
Try to get your Smoothie King.
Try to get your mint chocolate chip.
They're not having it.
Or no, what was that?
Like I come in here every day.
We don't remember you.
Like, well, sorry.
We
Get
get
out
money
of
here.
Oh, hey, Chris Ryder. Hi,
Yeah,
how are you?
yeah. Like you call me by name. I'll be here tomorrow. Charge me for 2 tomorrow.
Sorry, can't do it. Sorry.
Yeah.
So it's the Apple Pay thing is really cool as a backup, but I used to have the Apple Watch and I got rid of it because I got tired of everything buzzing all the time.
Yeah.
And so I'm gonna go back to the phone, the just normal wristwatch.
An actual watch.
Yeah, but I'm gonna do the leather band.
This is my grandfather's watch.
Is it?
Yeah. He bought this in.
Is that a Rolex?
Yeah.
Classy.
Dude, what are you rich?
No. I just told you, it's my
Your
grandfather's.
your grandpa was rich, apparently.
No, he was not, but bought it over in Switzerland or something while they were over there.
The fact that you're wearing your grandfather's wristwatch, which is a Rolex, implies that there is family wealth, and that you, in turn, would have to be the holder of that wealth. So
I am actually holding the family wealth. This is what it amounts to.
this is it.
Yes.
So if you're watching this and Chris
Hopefully
showed
my
you any of his
family
credit
is
card
not
numbers, there's lots of money there.
Internet machines, internet bots. Yeah, you know where to go.
So I mean, I had a guy on the podcast, Jason Chicola. He's one of my favorite guests so far, and he has transcription service.
It was kind of a shot out of nowhere at us, wasn't it?
I said one of my favorite podcast guys.
I don't know. It's just kind
Anyways,
of rude.
he has an AI bot that will transcribe all of your podcasts for you. Or like if you're doing a sales call, it'll transcribe the meeting and just write it down. You can search it. It's pretty
I don't
incredible.
have to take notes. I don't have to think. I love where this is going.
This is going great places for Chris.
Yeah.
But there's like I think of this as like there's this will be my gear grinder is I think the world can get pretty lame if everything is done for you, right? So like I think if all my decisions were made and like AI was doing my work for me, what would I do? I would want to play video games.
Do you think that's gonna happen though?
It in theory there are a lot of things that could be just automated out of play.
Lee is a worrier. You know, he's like worried
That's how
about.
I feel a lot of like. That's how I feel about a lot of people when they say that. It's
Don't you feel like you're somewhat of a worrier?
I'm
and that helps in a lot of ways.
I'm a risk mitigator in my own brain, so I'm
Right.
like, what could go wrong here? And that's what keeps me alive.
Yeah. That's part of what keeps you alive. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I mean, there's some value to it, but
A spirit of fear, yes.
if there's a spectrum of worry and totally laid back. You're definitely on the worry side.
Yeah, I'm on the right side of that.
Okay, I was going to say I'm on the right side of that.
Anxious guy, very sweaty. You're an anxious, sweaty guy.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't really worry about that because look at the way that it's being applied right now. For Amazon, for instance, it will surface products that you want, but you still have to buy it. Google will surface things that you want, but you still have to do it. And I think the same thing will happen in BI. You'll type in something, it'll give you some chart examples or whatever, but you select the one that you want. There's always going to be a human element in it because that's how machines work. Machines are made for people. So I get the concern. I'm not concerned, I guess. Maybe that's naive, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I don't want to be concerned. I'd love to not be concerned. But what I was saying about this is if AI does all these things and it minimizes your job down to something that's very palatable, let's say. So that's the best case scenario. And then you have all this extra time, and I'm like, if I had tons of extra time, I would play video games. But then what if I'm playing against fantastic AI?
They just start to beat you at video games. I have nothing.
Actually,
Go is the best example of it.
What will happen is the level of ease or challenge that best suits you is what the game will then serve up, right? You're not going to get beat out of enjoying it.
Well,
you're actually going to have the perfect amount of this is easy enough that I feel good, I'm accomplishing.
AI,
you can never be the best
enables people to rise to the challenge.
But you don't want to be.
What if AI...
I want to be the best at all video games.
Your game, that's how your games
It's
will
not going to go well, though. Have you seen AI play games?
No.
So the best example is AI playing Go. It's a game. You want to pull up the AI Go example? And then AI has been destroying people in chess for a long time, and I used to like chess, but I'll never beat Watson or Deep Blue. And then... what was another one? So it's do you guys play games ever, video games? So in games,
I'm not speaking for Kyle.
I played Breath of the Wild, Zelda. That was a whole weekend.
Switch?
On Switch.
Unbelievable.
I play what I like to call toilet games.
Right. He's a toilet.
Do we have to
game
talk
guy.
about that?
We don't. I think what
are your toilet games?
There's a great
artificial intelligence Go game, and it's a really complex game, and so they had AI watch hundreds of these, millions of these games, and then it learned, and now it's beating the world's champions at this game. And I'm like, okay, so when I play a video game, it lets you select difficulty already today.
Right.
But it's lame to play on easy, right?
I don't know unless
it depends. It depends if you want to feel validated.
It's like choosing your tees at a golf course, right?
Yeah. Well, do you play the ladies' tees or do you play
I
the
don't play the
championship
ladies' tees, but I don't play the tips either.
Well, so you play the white tees. And
no, I play the blue tees.
Isn't that championship tees?
Most courses you've got black, blue, white, red.
Okay. So what if there were 900 more harder levels, and you're in terms of the spectrum on the difficulty you chose?
I would just
you'd
say
be like, I'll play the blue tees.
Speaking of data, I know we're getting back to topic.
Mm-hmm.
What I was thinking about as well with all this proliferation of data is how it's made its way into other places like sports,
right?
In a very human way. The Oakland Athletics have the lowest payroll in all of baseball.
One of my favorite sports stats of all time.
Yeah, and they're going to make the playoffs this year. One of 5 teams in the American League that'll make the playoffs are going to win their division with the lowest payroll. That's insane because it's all about how they've figured out the metrics of hitting fly balls, and that it used to be all these other sabermetrics, but now it's all about home runs, and so.
Yep.
Forget about strikeouts. Forget about everything else.
You don't have to be good at defense. We're just going to hit it out more than anyone else.
Yeah,
and that's pay the bill for them.
And then the second one, which I think is I like golf, like you like gaming, and not only is there all this TrackMan data where now when pros go practice, they have this machine right behind them that measures their club head speed, their ball speed, the launch angle, spin rate of the ball, everything you can imagine. And so tweaking little things with the equipment or your swing or your setup to enhance ball rotation or to limit ball rotation, all those things, it's crazy. And then there's a guy named Bryson DeChambeau who's played golf at SMU. He's won a couple big tournaments this year. He is like they call him like the mad scientist. He's so into data, it's crazy. He's out there with like protractors on his yardage book, figuring out where he's putting and stuff. And it has absolutely resulted in, better golf results. It's crazy how it's even there, even something as feel and intuitive as that type of game will go the way of data.
Just like take the fun out of it, though.
That's what I'm wondering. If you look at him swing a golf club, it looks like one of those golf club machines that just takes it back like this and then hits it, and they do it to measure all those things. And that's what he looks like, But he's, I think, by design.
Is he?
It works.
It works.
Is he like top of the PGA or?
Yeah, he finished in the FedEx Cup. There's 4 playoff events. He won the first 2, which is pretty unprecedented.
How'd you feel when Tiger won last week?
Great.
Loving it?
Loved it. Yeah, I love it.
It's the first one in 5 years.
Yeah, first time in 5 years.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, my initial reaction was like, to be excited, because I love it when guys get second chances and it goes well.
Yeah.
But then on the internet, people are upset that I'm happy that he won. I was like,
oh, people are mad that you're happy?
Well, not me specifically. People
So
are
mad that anybody's happy.
That anybody's
Welcome
happy.
to the internet.
Because they're like, this guy's horrible. Look what he did.
I hate the internet so much. It's so awful.
Sucks. Yeah.
Okay.
That's grinding my gears. So
Yeah.
I have a second.
Let's have it.
Gear grinder. Okay. I'm watching television the other day, as I do, and there's a Dawn commercial. You know Dawn, the soap?
Yeah.
And they're back with the freaking ducks. Where they're using Dawn to clean dirty ducks. What's...
The oil spill ducks?
Yes, back from the Exxon Valdez, like in the freaking 80s,
Yep.
They had this great campaign. They're like cleaning the ducks with Dawn. I was like, oh, okay, well that's sweet. But what does it have to do?
Why are we doing it now?
Why are we doing that now? I don't own ducks.
Really? You don't?
No, do you?
Oh man, you should borrow one of my ducks, man.
But you have dishes, right?
Well, let me see if I got any spare ducks for you.
You're buying.
You should have the commercial wash dishes.
Yes, this stuff is really good at washing dishes.
We should
tell me that.
The AI bot that wrote the Olive Garden commercial, and they would probably put the ducks in it because they'd be like extra ducks.
They just ran out of ideas. Guys like, well, we could do the duck thing again. Well, but it doesn't make any sense now. There's no oil spill. Oh, people like the ducks.
Well, yeah,
and they did it.
It's like there's like a moral posturing going on in corporate America right now, where it's like we do something you can believe in.
Yeah,
it's like, but you're soap.
Yeah.
So you don't believe in being clean?
What's that?
You don't believe in being clean?
I believe very strongly in being clean. But I don't care if ducks are clean.
I don't care about ducks.
If I do come across a dirty duck, I will go buy Dawn. Like that's the one I'm going to. I'm not going to buy the HEB brand.
That's how they get you, man.
No palm olive.
I'll do that.
It's got to be Dawn.
Right.
Because if you run into a situation,
I know that it'll do that.
Yeah.
But I'm 42 and I have never had to clean a duck. So,
right on.
Get on, man. See, this is why we have to do this every time Chris is in for the podcast.
If I don't get this off my chest,
because it's gold.
Yeah,
it's therapeutic.
Because my wife won't listen to it.
It's been 8 weeks since you've been on podcast.
Has it?
Yeah.
I'm surprised you know the numbers. Like you were like, oh, well, you were on 14, and
I spend a lot of time making this happen. So
could have fooled me.
I know it doesn't. It's not going great, but I'm doing my best.
It's doing great.
So yeah, any other topics? Anything grinding your gears?
I'm pretty content.
All right. Well,
good.
It's good life. All right, gentlemen. Thank you for coming on. I keep knocking this TV around.
Thanks for having us,
Yeah.
Lee.
Yeah.